Hello and welcome to episode 5 of this handstand series. Now in the first 4 episodes we went over the static positions in half straddle, full straddle, and tuck. And then in the last episode of episode 4 we learned how to enter the half straddle, the full straddle, and the tuck from the handstand a little bit more dynamically from straight handstand into those positions. Now today we're going to learn how to enter the handstand itself from these dynamic positions. So we're going to be using half straddle, full straddle, and tuck to jump into the handstand and get a little bit of coordination in the legs and understand how to move the legs in these planes and give you a different challenge to enter the handstand beyond a normal kick up to handstand. I'm going to give you 2 different options to jump into handstand. One is a straddle jump to handstand, and the second one is a tuck jump to handstand. Now depending on your weaknesses, you might find one easier than the other. For me personally, I find the straddle jump to handstand easier, so I'm going to start with describing the straddle jump to handstand, and then we'll go to the tuck jump to handstand after that one, as I think this one, for me at least, is a little bit more difficult.
We are going to start in a crouched position with the feet together, placing the hands like you normally would for a normal handstand. From here, we're going to tuck jump up. As we jump, watch the hip raises, and then the legs split wide, straightening and coming around in a big circle. Now this motion, we should come up to the handstand, hold for our normal amount of time, maybe that's 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds or more, and then we're going to simply reverse the motion. So it is basically a negative straddle press to handstand, and we can speed up the transition so we don't have to rely on strength and rely more on the coordination. We're going through the half straddle, full straddle, and then down to the ground. This straddle jump to handstand replicates a straddle press to handstand, but takes away all of the strength requirements. It's just replicating the movement. So if you're working towards a straddle press to handstand, this can be an excellent addition to get the coordination for the press itself.
Now on to the tuck jump to handstand.
For the tuck jump to handstand, we're going to start the exact same way, placing the hands and feet the exact same. But now when we jump up, we're not going to split the legs anymore, but keep them tucked together and pass through that original tuck handstand position that we've been isolating and integrating. So watch the hip raises, the feet tuck, and then I extend through straight handstand. I hold for as ever long as I normally hold a handstand, and then I'm simply going to reverse the motion, going down into a tuck and then coming to the floor. If you can slow this down, fantastic, but you may have to speed this up, and that's fine. We're working on entry and exiting, not a press itself. This jump replicates what you're seeing now, which is a tuck planche press to handstand or a tuck press to handstand. Now it takes out all of the strength requirements, but it's the same exact patterning as the tuck jump into handstand.
So for this one, I recommend entering your normal freestanding handstand in this way. So at this stage, you should at least have a 30-second freestanding handstand. So I recommend straddle jumping or tuck jumping into the handstand, holding for 30 seconds or more in the straight body handstand, and then exiting that same way, so either with a straddle or with a tuck. Next week will be our final episode, and we're going to be combining all of the things that we learned into a certain sequence, a certain game. So if you want to see that video now, you can become a Patreon and see that video over on Patreon. Otherwise, I will see you next week with the last video in this series.